Live.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
It says it's setting up our meeting for YouTube.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So good to see everyone. Well, we can't see you actually, but we're here. We're going to give people some time to log in and get this great information that we're planning to share. So glad that you're with us, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hope everyone is staying warm in this frigid temperature and staying safe for those of our gigs on the West Coast.
Yes, yes. It's definitely harrowing. I saw a
Yeah.
video this morning from a friend of someone fleeing their home. So definitely our hearts are with any folks who are in that area. Please stay safe and our prayers are with you. So welcome to you, and we're going to give folks a few minutes to join. Definitely interested if you're joining us, put in the chat where you're joining us from so that we'll know kind of what geographies are represented this afternoon. It's 2 in the afternoon for us. We're on the East Coast. I'm in Jacksonville.
And I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, so we see folks are still joining. We'll give everyone an opportunity to get settled in.
Mhm. How was the weather in Jacksonville, Joy?
Pretty cool. I mean, it's colder than usual here, of course, but we had a kind of a cold snap over the past couple of days, and it's a little warmer today than it was yesterday. It's been freezing at night, some of the nights, but it's just pretty unpredictable.
Mm.
So just try to bundle up and stay healthy as best we can. How about there in Savannah?
Cold as well. It's bearable. A nice sweater and jacket is all that I need, but
Mhm.
they're predicting a little cooler temperatures tonight than
Oh,
in the
wow.
past. So I'm ready.
Any snow there, or did you all have a white Christmas?
I wish we had snow here. I miss I used to live in Washington, D.C., and they got close to a
Oh,
foot of snow over the
yes.
last week. So, yeah.
Have a friend there, a colleague that we're working with on a project, and he said he had his kids out helping to dig out the snow, so they were having fun. It's a little different when you're a grown up.
Right.
You have to deal with the snow before you go to work and all that good
That is
stuff.
true.
So,
That is true. Mm,
yeah,
mm.
I think the older I get, the more grateful I am to be living in Florida and not back in my home state of Maryland.
Yes, yes, indeed. I do miss it though. It is.
Mm, mhm. It has its ups and its downs.
It does. It does.
So this is just a reminder, if you're joining us today, to like this video and subscribe. And if there's somebody else that you think should get this information or join us, then please share it with them. You can click the share button and send them the link or share it to your social media. This is something new that we're doing, but super excited to help everyone start the new year off on a good foot, trying to get situated to take advantage of funding opportunities as they come down the line this year. So welcome, and I'm so glad that you can join us today. And this recording will eventually be posted on our YouTube channel, and we may share some to social media as well so that folks who couldn't be on can join us as well, get the information. But yeah, definitely invite a friend to join us.
Yes.
So what's top of mind for you, Tom, as we're heading into the new year? Any professional goals that you're kind of looking forward to this year?
Yeah, 2025, this is a quarter of a century in. Uh, I remember the year 2000 and the whole Y2K and all that we were in and the change to a uh, new time.
Mhm.
And so for 2025, I'm reminded of how fast time moves. That's for
Mhm.
sure. Seems like Y2K was just yesterday.
Yeah,
So top of mind for me for 2025 is being a little bit more organized, staying on top of opportunities that come our way for our organization as well as opportunities for me personally. How
yeah.
about for you, Joy?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think for me, I'm really linking into this need for structure and systems to help accomplish goals. So I heard someone say something like a goal without a strategy is just a wish. And that
Yes.
stuck with me. So my goal this year is just to add some structure, some strategy, some systems to make sure that the things that I'm setting out to do this year will actually happen. And so it's kind of a different way of thinking, right? But
Mhm, mhm.
definitely looking forward to the fruit of that as we
Wow.
move forward into the year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's just good to be on this side. There's just this energy, I think, at the beginning of a new year, just the optimism and anticipation of what's ahead. So I'm kind of living into that this year too, just enjoying
Mhm.
the optimism of a new year. So I don't know how
Yes,
long that will last. Hopefully that'll last through the end of January. We'll see. But it's nice. We enjoy it while it's here.
very good. Well,
Yeah.
this is new for us here at Genesis to do this. We've done some live streams and webinars in 2024. I thought that were very, very successful. We
Mhm.
have a great team of partners that participated in those webinars and a lot of feedback from the community for the information that we shared. So I'm really excited about this venture, what we will have to share and discuss today. So I'm looking forward to using this technology and engaging a broader audience as we move forward in 2025.
Yes, me too. And really, I was thinking earlier today about just the huge heart that we have for nonprofits. Of course, now we're working in the consulting sector, but we both have deep history of working with and for nonprofit organizations, especially those that serve marginalized communities or underserved communities. And that really was the heartbeat behind founding this company 25 years ago. We really wanted to do more to help those who are doing the work in those communities. And we see that as our contribution to community building. And so our company is very mission and value oriented. We set out to build communities by building those who build communities. So we're all about building capacity of leaders and teams, and we work with a variety of different types of organizations. So we work, of course, in the nonprofit sector, but we also do work in education and in the public sector as well with government agencies to help build capacity. We've done quite a bit of work with faith-based institutions. And so our work is broad because every institution we're discovering really does have those needs for strong planning, strong change management. A lot of the evaluation work that we do, it translates well across sectors.
Right. And I'm so excited by the work that we did last year, especially around community transformation in the healthcare uh, sector, where our ability to help organizations with their grant writing and their ability to use those grant funds to affect change within the community, within those marginalized communities where we saw health disparities really pronounced. But I get feedback constantly of the work that we did and how transformative it has been so far.
Yeah, and it's such a privilege. I mean, when we look back over the years, so 25 years, we were founded in 1999, and over that time frame, we have helped community serving organizations raise over $20 million for their programs. And that doesn't come easily. Of course, we've, taken our hits, taken our blows, learned the lessons. And now I think we're in a phase as a company, and I personally am in a phase where I consider it my obligation and duty to kind of give back some of the lessons that I've learned over the years. So this is part of that. Making this information available at no cost to organizations is really a huge part of what we're looking to do as we move forward and make information accessible. I think is part of the work that lies ahead for us.
I think that work is evident even in our name, Genesis Ed Solutions, and the founding that you did, and the word Genesis itself is in rebuilding, restoring those organizations and helping them to improve their mission going forward.
Yes, yeah. So super excited. And some folks have just joined us. So I invite you to put in the chat where you're joining us from. Super excited that you're with us. And we're going to jump into our content. Just a little bit more to share about our firm. So Genesis Consulting Group is the legal name of our firm. So you may see us known as that as well. A few years ago, we went through a rebranding process and really decided to lean into our background and expertise in education, understanding that learning is a huge part of the mission for every organization, regardless of industry. And so Genesis Ed Solutions is our trade name in most cases. We're a minority owned business, a Black owned business, a woman owned business, and a veteran owned business. And so we carry those certifications and really are interested, as we mentioned earlier, in helping those who are doing the work in underserved and marginalized communities to do that work better and to do more of the work. And so our tagline is, we help add momentum to your mission. And so we're different from a lot of consulting firms that are out there in that we don't come with cookie cutter solutions, but we really develop customized learning and management solutions for our clients. And we're excited to have been doing this work for many years. So today we're going to really tailor what we talk about to the nonprofit sector. And so if there are leaders of nonprofits or nonprofit professionals that you know that should be a part of this conversation, then invite them, share this link with them, and invite them to hop on as we share today just a few of the things that we've learned over the years. So one of the things that we have been thinking about and talking about as we transition into a new year is that we have the uncertainty of a new administration, and every year actually carries with it a little bit of uncertainty. And so sometimes as we respond to uncertainty, we have to look at the landscape, look at what funders are doing, look at what grant makers are doing, whether they're government grant makers or private grant makers. And in some cases, we're seeing more competition for funding, right? So some of the sources of funding that we may have counted on in the past, those pots of money may not be quite as large as they were before. And so that means that as we're putting our strategy together as nonprofits, we need to position ourselves to really stand out from the crowd when it comes to looking for funding. And so that's part of the heartbeat behind what we're talking about today, is that the landscape is changing and nonprofits need to be more intentional about how they are positioned for that funding. Would you agree, Tom?
Yes, I would. And the landscape is changing. A lot of funding that we nonprofits look for are grant funds, and federal grants are huge. We know that they're is a new administration coming on board. So top of mind for me in 2025, as it relates to supporting the work of nonprofits, is how do you navigate and how do you respond fast enough to any changes in agencies within the federal government as budget allocations are being distributed?
Yeah, that's great. And so we're going to share some of the things that we've learned, but we also want to share the caveat that grant funding probably is the most talked about source of funding for nonprofits, but it is not the most important source of funding for nonprofits. And so any nonprofit needs to really be thinking in terms of a diversified strategy to raise funds that would include grant funding, but also would very heavily lean on donations from individual donors and corporate donors, as well as earned income. So nonprofits are getting really creative about how they can earn income to support their missions. Grants are important, so we're not denying the importance of grants, but we do want to just add that balance to say, if you come into the year and you're thinking that 100% of your budget is going to come from grants, then that's most likely not the case. Another really important source of funding is contracts, right? So if you're providing a service that is needed by the government or by others, then contracts can be a really important source of funds as well, in addition to grant funding.
Very good. Yeah, I find that, there are quite a number of companies in the private sector who have money, and we will talk soon about how to align your mission with their mission, or how to make sure as they are seeking to support the community as well. These corporations exist in communities, and many of them, I would dare say 99% of them, have within their mission or their objectives to support the communities that they exist in and they exist for as well.
Right. And so that local landscape becomes super important when we're talking about grant funding, that the most likely sources are probably right in your neighborhood, right around the corner of grants and donations, right? And so building those relationships is a part of the work of being a nonprofit professional. We cannot sit in our offices and dream up wonderful programs for the community. We can't even spend all of our time dealing with our clients and with our community partners, but we need to get out and be building those relationships with the folks who are investing in the community, be they grant makers or local small businesses, and really, beating the drum for our organizations being a way for them to give back to the community and to build a better future for their customers and their clients, right? So all of that is part of the work. So we're going to go ahead and jump into these do this, not that, is what we called this webinar. And not too long ago, I was having a conversation with a mentor of mine, and their business is kind of further along than we are. Their revenues have been huge, and so I said, look, I want you to talk to me about what not to do. What are the lessons that you've learned over the years that we can benefit from? So, it's nice to be told what to do, but sometimes we need to really buckle down and be told what not to do. So that's where we're going to start today. And we're super excited about sharing some of this with you. So the first thing we want to talk about is not to start without a grant strategy. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go into the year just waiting for opportunities to come down the pike and saying, okay, we see this new opportunity, let's jump on it now, right? And leave ourselves with not enough time to prepare properly and to put a competitive proposal together. So starting without a strategy Not a good idea. And we're still early enough in the year that it's not too late to develop a grant strategy. So the alternative to that approach of not starting with the strategy is to start early, incorporating proposal development into your organization's plan for the year, right? So as you're developing your goals, as you're developing your work plans, as you're thinking about your workflows and how you're going to spend your time as a nonprofit professional, a certain amount of your time needs to be focused on proposal development. What do you think, Tom?
No, you're absolutely correct. And when you talk about proposal development, I would also step back to what you suggested earlier, that not all sources of revenue for nonprofits are grants. So in that proposal development, you have proposals for grants, you have proposals for those local businesses that you spoke about earlier. I would even dare say another source of funding for your nonprofit is the community itself. So if you're seen as a benefit to the community, in what ways can the community support your efforts as a nonprofit to therefore improve their outcomes, whatever that might be? So your proposal development should be multifaceted. It's not like we help college students in applying to college, and we say, once you have a really good essay, you can tweak that essay. No, in this case, you might need several different proposals, several different strategies that are in writing that you're going to approach.
Yeah, that's so good. And then, I find that for us, so interestingly, as a business, we also are in the proposal writing business, right? So we respond to RFPs, which is different than responding to grant opportunities. But what we found helpful is to establish a rhythm. And so as we're talking about a strategy for grants, you may want to say, okay, given our capacity as a team, we can apply for at least one grant per month, right? Or at least one grant per quarter. You want to start with something manageable, and you want to build that into your workflow and into the expectation for your team. So just like you have an expectation maybe for the number of clients that you're going to serve or the amount of revenue that you're going to bring in, you want to have a goal for the number of proposals that you want to get out the door during the course of the year. Because I'll tell you what, 100% of the proposals that are never written never get funded. I'll say that again. 100% of the proposals that are never written never get funded, right? And so the number one way that you're going to increase your success rate in getting grants and having proposals funded is to increase the number of proposals that you're getting out the door. And they don't all have to be huge, right? So you may only have capacity to do like one federal grant per year, but you can be applying for smaller grants, corporate foundation grants along the course of the year. And so that helps you to get those numbers up so that you can begin to increase your odds of success.
Excellent, Joy. I would say that those proposals almost always come with some requirements at the federal level, at the corporate level. Yes, they're looking for you to write a proposal that identifies the need, the dollar amount that you're asking for, that you're outlined, what are you going to do? But going back to what to do, what not to do, it's important to start with gathering the documentations that almost all proposals are going to ask for. So starting from scratch and gathering documentation every time a request for proposal comes available is not what to do. you
Mhm.
should start gathering these documents now. And they're your articles of incorporation if you're a nonprofit organization, 3 years of your budget. These are just the basic that you want to start with. If you have had an audit recently, it's good to have that because some agencies, some organizations want to see that you've had an external audit. Uh, Not in all cases, but if you have had one, that would be a document to have. So having a document repository, maybe one that's in a some type of an electronic drive, that they're in PDF format that you can retrieve right away and add to whatever the request for documents might be in a proposal.
Yeah, that's great. And there's a whole list of documents. Tom, you mentioned some really great ones. You know, of course, your 501c3 determination letter from the IRS is something that you'll be using over and over again. You want to gather your resumes of your key staff. You want to have a good org chart, right? So these are things that you don't want to have to go looking for every time a proposal comes available, or RFP or a grant opportunity comes available. You don't want to have to go scrambling to try to find all your documents or create documents, right? You want to have them in one place. And like Tom mentioned, that can be in Google Drive, that can be in Dropbox, but some sort of shared repository. Maybe use Microsoft products, so you have Microsoft OneDrive, but you want to create a repository, kind of an electronic file cabinet where all these things are located and your team can grab what's needed when it's needed. That'll make your life a lot easier and help you to, meet that rhythm that you've established early on of the number of proposals that you want to submit.
You know,
Great.
Joy,
Yeah.
having those documents in a centralized location is critically important because in some proposals, they want you to not just upload your document, but they need you to fill out a form. So it would be nice and easy to upload the document, but if you have to fill out a budget form, then you need to have those numbers easily accessible, and you don't want them to start changing and shifting uh, because that can become problematic if when funded. You really want to have a set clear understanding of who you are, what you're seeking to do, and how much it would cost. And those things can be found in the documents that you have in that repository.
Yeah, so hopefully this is making sense to folks. So these are things that you can do now before you identify the grants that you want to go after for this year. You can be gathering your documents. There may be some that you have to create. So if you don't have a budget for each of your programs, you want to create that. If you don't have an overall organizational budget for this year, then you want to create that, right? If you don't have resumes for your key team members, then this is the time to be creating those and making sure that they reflect their current positions, right? Because the resume that they submitted when they were trying to be hired for the job is no longer current because they work for you now, right? So you need to have that on their resume. So all these things are ways to prepare to succeed in 2025 when it comes to grant funding. So we've covered two things. So the first one, you don't want to start without a strategy, right? Second one is you don't want to have to scramble to get all your documents together when it's time to apply for a grant. So let's talk about number three. So the third thing not to do is being intimidated by funders. So I know that we've all been there, and I consider myself to be very much an introvert, right? And so we're in these circles where we may have opportunities to interact with foundation staff, or with government agency representatives who are responsible for handing out grant funds, or for corporate foundation executives, right? And the temptation may be, oh, I'm not going to go talk to them because we're just a lowly nonprofit that has a lowly budget and they don't want to talk to me and I don't even know what to say, right? And so that whole intimidation factor sometimes keeps us from doing the thing that's going to have us come to top of mind when there are grant opportunities available, right? And so it's never a bad idea to begin building relationships with grant makers. And like I said, that may be public, that may be private, they may be large, they may be small, but that relationship building at every stage of the process is just so important. So it's important before you decide to apply, because that's the time when you're kind of doing this dance with the grant maker to see, okay, we see your priorities. These are our priorities. Are they a good match? And sometimes you can only figure that out through conversations, right? And then during the grant preparation phase, the proposal development phase, you want to be checking in. So aside from public agencies where they may have a cone of silence or a time period where they won't talk with you about the proposal, in most cases, foundations really do want you to ask them questions as you're preparing your proposal to make sure you're on the right track. And in some cases, they'll even review your draft to give you some feedback before the deadline, right? But you have to have those conversations early in the process. Like that doesn't happen a week before it's due, right? And so building those relationships is so important. And even after submission, right? So after you've submitted and maybe you did not receive the grant, the conversation doesn't end. You're trying to find out from them, what could we do better next time? What could we do differently to help make our proposal stand out the next time? And again, you only get that information if you're building the relationship and asking those questions.
And Joy, you're so right. You know, both of us have served as grant reviewers. We've been on the other side of the table, reviewing those applications, reading, and it's important to know what's on paper is only half of the story. But if that's all we have to go on, then that's all we have. But to become knowledgeable, to know a particular organization and what they're trying to do, yes, it's not influencing those readers, but it's helping because the readers are human beings. They're not running these applications through an electronic source to score them. Human beings are sitting. Generally, there are 3 readers per application so that they can discuss back and forth. If the scores are widely different between all 3 of them, then those readers will come together and argue for why they believe that the grant they scored high should be awarded. And it's a human process that requires an objective approach. There are rubrics by which these readers have to score the grant, but becoming familiar, making those contacts with these organizations, as Joy was saying, is highly beneficial to getting your word out of who you are and what you're attempting to do in these communities.
Yes. And one thing that I try to remember, and I actually had a funder say this once, and it really stuck with me, is that funders need you as much as you need them. So if you think about that, funders are really investors. That is an analogy that I like to use when talking about grant writing. They're investors. They have resources to invest in a project because they're looking for a return. And they may not be looking for a monetary return, but they are looking for a return on their investment. in the form of impact. If an investor doesn't have any companies to invest in, then they're not going to make money. They're not going to make a return. And it's similar with our grant makers in our community. So they are looking for organizations that can help them make the impact that they're looking to make. In most cases, they have an area of focus. They have maybe a focused community that they're looking to impact. They may have a particular mission that that they're responsible for to their board. And so they need you to raise your hand and say, hey, we're here, we're doing the work, we're doing it effectively, we're doing it well. And all we need in order to make even more impact is your money, right? But if you don't reach out with that information, then they'll never know, right? And they need effective organizations in order to make the impact and get the return on their investment. So remember that too. You know, it's not a one-sided relationship, but they need you as well as you need them.
If I could extend that a little further, Joy, that these organizations do need, or these companies, the federal government, state governments, do need the nonprofit community in order to make impacts within our local communities. The government cannot do it all. Corporations, no matter how much money they might have, cannot do it all. It is the local nonprofit organizations. You all are the boots on the ground. You know the community, you know the community's needs. You're a trusted voice within the community. You're more likely to take resources and organize those resources for impact. But here's the thing. These corporations and governments know that you as a single organization cannot do it alone either, that it requires some coordination with other nonprofits, with other entities, NGOs within your community. And because of that, most funders are looking for you to form collaborations, partnerships around the work that you're doing, knowing that other people are probably doing the same thing. They're looking for the biggest bang for the buck. Maybe you could explain that a little bit more eloquently than I just did.
Oh, I think, you know, we definitely, in our firm, we believe in speaking truth and speaking it in plain language. And I think that you've done that. You know, it's like we sometimes try to take it all on, right? And we may believe that we're the only ones who are doing the work or that we have to get it all done. But the fact is that if we simply look around, in most cases, there are other folks who share our priorities, who maybe share an aspect of our mission, who share a population that they're looking to impact. And so by collaborating with them, we then create something that a grant maker gets excited about, right? And so, you know, we've been involved in a lot of these impact projects where it's not just one entity. There may be a lead entity, right? But there are all these folks who are working together to push forward an agenda for the community. And they may include anchor institutions like colleges or hospitals, or even a faith-based institution could be an anchor. And then there are also community members, and there are also multiple community-based organizations. And there are also corporations or small businesses that are a part of this effort. We led an effort in a community here in Jacksonville called Arlington, and we brought together dozens of partners that were able to coalesce around a 20-point plan that we worked on for multiple years. And the impact of that plan was multiplied exponentially because we had so many different partners from so many different sectors who were involved in some way in that. And we wound up, making tremendous impact, winning awards for community engagement. But that was because we did not try to do it all alone. And it just can't be done. If we look around at the issues that our communities are facing, they are too big for any one entity, even the municipal government or the state government or the federal government. The issues that we're facing in our communities are too large for any one entity to go it alone. And so we encourage partnerships. So we have a model that's called Trust-Centered Strategic Engagement. And we can share more about that. We talk about that wherever we go, but it's a proprietary approach that we've developed just based on our years of experience in communities, looking at how partnerships are developed, and they're built around trust. But the bottom line is that without partnerships, you're not positioning yourself well for success in this arena.
And that is a strategy. Going back to what we said in point number one, what is your strategy in developing these proposals? It means starting at the beginning with assessing who else is doing this work. What other entities are tangential to the work that you're doing? You can't tutor a group of kids that need some academic help if they're suffering from lack of nutrition. The brain just won't absorb what you're saying. So you might need a partner who's providing food if you're not also providing food. And what about the partner to do the transportation? What about the partner that's engaging with parents or the school itself? So partnerships are really important, and funders are looking for, again, what's the biggest impact that their funds can have on community transformation.
Yeah, that's so important. So seeking out partnerships, again, is something that you can do before you have a grant opportunity come across your email or land on your desk. This is something that you can do proactively to say, what partnerships can we be developing that are in support of our mission, but that also are exciting for funders and represent collaboration and innovation. So we're just going to quickly review, and then we'll hit our last tip here. So the first one we talked about is not starting without a strategy, right? Number two is starting from scratch to gather documents and scrambling to get everything together. We're not going to do that in 2025. The third thing is being intimidated by funders. We're not going to be intimidated. We're going to build relationships with grant-making organizations, and we're going to do that proactively and at every stage of the process. We're not going to go it alone. We're going to develop partnerships that help us to meet our mission and also to create something bigger than ourselves that a funder wants to support. And then finally, we want to talk about technology, and that's the big bad wolf for many of us, and sometimes as nonprofits, we're not really valuing being on the cutting edge of what we're doing. We have a program and we know what we do and we do it well, and we're going to keep doing it. And that's all well and good. However, there are some tools available through technology that can help you to position your organization well and to appear to be larger and more sophisticated than you are. And one of those tools is AI, artificial intelligence, right? And so I'm in the process of learning, I think we all are, just kind of exploring what AI can do. When it comes to grant seeking, this is a tool that you can use to do many things, one of which is to help search for grant opportunities. You can use AI to help consolidate the information that you have into narrative, right? Into text that is easy to read and that's convincing and that's well written without having to do every part of that yourself. You can use it to help you develop a budget, even a starting point budget for a program. You can put in your parameters. So if you have a funder that doesn't fund food, but they do fund transportation, and you're trying to develop your after school program budget for X number of students, then you can plug that information into Chat GPT and say, build me a budget for an after school program. And it will do that. And you're not going to turn in what it spits out, but it gives you a starting point that you can use to then tweak it and make it your own, make sure that it's accurate. And that helps save you some time, because we know that a lot of you just are not in a position to hire a grant writer right now. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you can't be successful. But in order to be successful, we have to use all of the tools that are available to us. What do you think, Tom?
No, you're absolutely right. And I think one of the ways in which organizations fail in their grant writing or their proposal development, they're able to express the need through narrative that this community is really struggling and they could use some examples, but the lack of data, using numerical data, quantitative data to explain and show through graphs and charts how bad the need might be in comparison to other communities is something that we failed to do. And AI has tools to do that for you, to create those charts, create those graphs. And then for you, how do you measure your success? So if someone were to give you $100,000 because you said you're able to affect change in this community, how are you able to measure that success, that change? And AI can help keep track of that data and analyze that data for you as well.
So good. So, so we've shared some things here that hopefully have been helpful to you. We'd love to hear about how you're using this information as you're plotting your course for 2025. And we also want to make a resource available to you. For those of you who were able to join us today, I'm going to just share our offer for our grant writing course. We have developed a course that we call Write to Win. It's Grant Writing 101, and it's an online course that's available to nonprofits to talk about how you can be successful as you're writing grants. As we mentioned earlier, you may not have the capacity to hire a grant writer, but that doesn't mean that you can't succeed. But in order to succeed, you need the tools. And so we've been doing this for a long time. Over 25 years, we've been very successful, and we want to pass that information on to you. So we have a course that's launching on this coming Monday, January 13th, and we're making it available at a discount. In celebration of our 25th anniversary, it's already discounted by 25% through the launch date. So you have a few days to sign up. And if you joined us today, then we want to offer an additional $25 off of that fee. And so if you use the coupon code WTW25 when you register, then you will get an additional $25 off of the registration fee, which brings it under $350. So I just want to add some context here for you, which is that if you were to hire our firm to come in and to do work with your organization, you would pay $250 to $350 per hour for our services. So we are saying that for the cost, less than the cost of 1 hour of consulting services, you will get a 14-week course that will introduce you to the fundamentals of grant writing. That is a huge deal. And so we're making this available at a discounted cost because we believe in what you're doing. We want to be a part of helping you to be effective this year in an increasingly competitive arena of grant making. We want to give you the tools that you need to be successful. So we're going to put in the chat the link for you to sign in, and we'll put the coupon code in the chat as well. And so you have a few days, so last chance to register. If you will use that code, it expires on Monday. And Monday is launch day for the course. And we are so excited that we're launching this course, and we want to get this information to you.
Enjoy. That course is self-paced, where participants can go through, they could share that with their team as well as they move through the course. The course really gives is modular based, so you complete a section and then you move on to the next. We remain for that same fee available to assist you as you go through the course, so you're not in it alone. We're able to answer questions, help clarify, and even to review your proposal once completed before submission. So it's a great benefit that we found that, yes, we can come in, as Joy said, for our consulting fee and help to develop a grant for you. But in this way, we're able to have a greater impact. We're able to fulfill our mission to helping improve our communities, especially those marginalized communities that nonprofits serve.
Yes, I'm super excited. And as you mentioned, Tom, I'm so glad you said that this course has a lot of value added. So we'll be doing 4 live virtual Q&A sessions during the course of the term. So the course runs from January 13th through the beginning of May. And of course, you can finish it sooner if you do more lessons than 1 a week. But with each module, we'll have a live virtual Q&A session with one of our grant professionals, where you can ask questions in real time and get some answers as you're working on your documents. And then, as Tom mentioned, the fee includes complimentary review of 1 grant proposal. So the goal is that by the end of this course, you'll not just have theoretical information, but you'll have a proposal that has been vetted by a professional that you can then begin to use, to tweak, and to submit for funding. So that's super exciting. You'll also be a part of a community. So your registration also makes you part of our nonprofit professionals community, where you can share information, you can chat with other members of the community, do some networking online as well. And we're using a platform that we're super excited about that allows us to do all of that in one place. So this is a huge opportunity, and we invite you to take advantage of it. And go online now and register. We put the link in the chat to register, and we also put the coupon code there that you can use to register for that opportunity. Any parting words, Tom?
No, do we have any questions or comments in the chat from anyone? I think our contact information is also in that registration page if they need to reach out.
Yes, and I just want to say thank you to those of you who joined us. We do have in the chat, Makia joined us from Beaver Street Enterprise Center in Jacksonville. And so Beaver Street Enterprise Center is incubator. They do great work, and that's actually where our offices are located. So if you're in Jacksonville and you need office space, then reach out to Beaver Street Enterprise Center. Thank you for joining us, Makia, and all those who are able to join us today for the live. We invite you to share the information. It'll be posted to our YouTube channel, so feel free to share the link with others. And thank you for joining us. Super excited that you're able to be a part of this webinar, and we look forward to hearing all about your success in 2025.
Thank you.